Hello, Grace Solutions, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to design this party flyer right in Photoshop. So if you're ready, let's head straight into the video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to create a new document. So you go to File and go to New, and then you give your project a title. So we can just say party flyer design, and then use a dimension of 1200 pixels by 1200 pixels and a resolution of 300. Okay, color mode RGB, since we're not going to print our design. All right, so and then you go down and click create. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do right here is that I'm going to create a gradient fill. Okay, and by the way, these are the documents that we'll be using for this project. I will leave a link to where you can download them in the description box so you can practice along. All right, so I'm going to create a gradient layer, and so I'm going to go to my gradient, to my layer options right here. I'm going to click this and I go for a gradient. Okay, now I have already I already have the hexacodes of the gradient combinations we're going to use, so I'm just going to copy this. Okay, select a gradient, go for this, click OK. Sorry. Okay, let me just double click the thumbnail right here to edit the gradient combination. So I click this, go to this icon right here, click this, and I paste the first hexacode. I click OK. I go once again to my notepad, I copy the other hexacode, and I go to my project once again. I click this arrow, this tab rather, double click, open, Ctrl V to paste, and I click OK, OK, and OK. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my background. So I just navigate to the folder, and I'm going to click this and drag it into my Photoshop. Okay, click and drag it into Photoshop. Alright, so I'm going to position it something like this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to create a mask layer for this background, because I want to brush off these edges so that you have that very smooth effect. So I go to my masking options, click this, and then I go to my toolbar and I take the brush tool, or just press the letter B on the keyboard, and then ensure your foreground color is set to black and your background color is set to white. Then under your brush tool or brush options, take the soft round brush like so. Alright, so I'm just going to brush off the edges of this, okay, just to give that pretty smooth effect. Brush it off something like so. I think this is okay. Then I press the letter V to drop the brush tool, and I zoom out of my screen. So the next thing I'm going to do right here is I'm going to reduce the opacity of this background. So I go to the opacity tab right here, and I slide this. Okay, let me just slide it in to when I think it's appropriate. Alright, I think something like this is okay. And then next up, I also bring in this other background, the bokeh background, okay, into my Photoshop. Click and drag, drop it like so, and I go to my blending options right here, and then change it to, let's see which one works best. Okay, screen overlay. I think soft light is cool, so let's go with soft light. Then of course I also reduce the opacity, just like I did for the other background. Reduce the opacity, something like this. Okay, zoom out. Then also let me brush off the edges. So once again, I go to my layer options or my mask option. I click this to create a layer mask. Take my brush tool and I brush off the edges like so. So next up, I'm going to start adding my text. Alright, so I already have it open in my notepad, so I'm just going to copy this, Ctrl V, okay, Ctrl C to copy and V to paste. So before I paste it, let me just group this as my background. So I select the background layers, then I press Ctrl G to group, and I can rename this as background. Alright, so I'm going to start adding my text. So I take my text tool, and I already copied the text, so I'm just going to select all, Ctrl V to paste, and I change the color to white. Okay, go to my character panel, change this to white. All right, then let me increase the leading, I think, to let me take it further to maybe 300. All right, then I click this to drop it. Then I reposition my, okay, let me resize it a bit, something like so. Okay, all right, so I'm going to give this a bit of a drop shadow. So I'm going to right click and go to blending options, and I go down to drop shadow. Okay, and ensure it's set to black. Okay, and yeah, I can increase the distance a bit, and I think the spread is okay. And then I just go right ahead and I click OK. So I'm going to add another text. So I'm going to duplicate this by holding my Alt and click and drag it. Okay, sorry about that. Hold my Alt, click and drag to duplicate. So I type the word presents. Alright, so I'm going to change this to a pretty normal typeface. So I go to my character panel. I want this to be, I think, and by the way, but for the fonts I'm using Montserrat. Alright, so I can change this to a regular, just to okay, I think this is fine. Then I can reduce the leading to maybe 200. Okay, this is fine. So I can group this text as top section. So I'm just going to select the layers, Ctrl G to group, and I can just rename it as top section. So next up, I'm going to bring in my model like so. I click this to drag, and then I'm going to give my create a mask layer for the model, and then once again take my brush tool and just brush off this part. Alright, so okay, I think this is cool. So next up, I'm going to start adding my texts. So I'm going to first of all take my text to once again and type the word, okay, music by, go to my character panel to reduce the leading, and I go for a Montserrat bold. Okay, Alt click, hold my Alt key, click and drag, type in the word DJ Spice. Alright, so I can use a regular typeface for this. Alright, something like this, or let me just go for a medium. I think that's fine. Then I can change this color to, let me change the color of that character to sort of a light pink. Okay, something like so, just to differentiate it from okay, let me go for this. Okay, something like this. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to duplicate this text, Alt click and drag, say gates open, and then let me duplicate this, Alt click and drag, 3 p.m. and I resize this. So I can group these as, let me just say, side text. So I can group these elements and just call it side text. So Ctrl G, and I call that side text. Once again, you can use any name you want to for your layers, alright, as far as you understand what you're doing. Alright, so next up, I'm going to add my main caption. Okay, and type the word Fedora. I open up. Okay, then I go for, let me change the color to a white, or color to white color, and then let me go for a bold or extra bold. I think bold is fine, it's okay. Fedora. Alright, then what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to duplicate this. Alright, and then I'm going to just create a little effect on the text. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to turn off the I'm going to turn off the fill layer on this one. Alright, then I go to blending options, then I give it a stroke, then I give it a stroke like so. I change the stroke to white like this, and I click OK. I drop my text to, and then I'm going to just reposition it to fit right behind this other text. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate this text once again. So I hold my Alt key, click and drag. Yes, let me rename this as night JHT. Okay, drop my tool, and then I take the let me duplicate this, Ctrl J. I take it up and I bring it down. Okay, something like this, and I rename this as night as well. Okay, drop it, and then same way I did the first one. Alright, so let me just reposition it so it goes a bit further. Okay, so I think this is making much sense now. And then I'm going to add the word out. So take my text once again, type the word out. Sorry about OUT. Click this, drop my text tool. I'm going to minimize this, and then I use the font autograph. Alright, autograph, cool. And then change the color to something like a pink. Let me take it from the woman's wrist, whatever she's wearing, and then I resize this. Okay, something like so. Let me change the color once again. Let's take a much bolder shade of pink. Okay, I think this is fine. Okay, let me reduce this so I have space for this. Alright, so I'm going to group my text, the main caption. So I'm going to select all these layers. Control. So I'm going to select the text layers, all of them. Hold my Shift key, select all, Ctrl G, group them. I can call it main text. Alright, and then I'm going to duplicate it in case, just as a backup. So I'm going to turn off one of the layers. Then I'm going to rasterize this layer. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to select yes, I'm going to select convert to smart object first, and then I right click again and I select rasterize layer. So next up, I'm going to go to my blending options. Okay, and I go down to gradient overlay. Alright, so I've already given it the gradient effect I wanted. So this is the first code, color code. Alright, it's 9AA3AC, and then the second one is just triple F. Sorry, that's EDEFF4. Alright, so if you're having value from this video, please give this video a like, share this video, and of course subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Alright, so next up, I'm going to add a bit of a glow to my caption. So to do that, I go down to where I have my layers right here. So I'm going to click create a new layer. Okay, and I'm just going to rename this as brushes or glow. Let me just say glow. Okay, so I'm going to take my brush tool by pressing the letter B on the keyboard. Now this what do you call it now, your foreground color should be set to, you can change it to, let me change it to something, to a bright color, something to have this little pink glow effect on the text. I'm going to click this, reduce the size of the brush a bit. I'm going to click that. Okay, then I go to my blending options right here, and I change it to something, let's say overlay, soft light, or linear dodge, something that will just bring out that pop. Alright, so I think this is nice. Then I can reduce it, bring it here. Then I can double click, sorry, let me drop that. I can double click, I can duplicate this rather, put another one here, and double click again, put another one here. Let me draw a shape over this. So I go to my rounded rectangle and just give this, okay. Let me go for okay, a bit of deep purple or light purple, light shade of purple or something. Okay, or let me go for this glow. I think this is nice. Click OK, and then bring my text above it. So next up, I'm going to add the address. So I take my text once again, go to my notepad, and then I copy this, and then I come back to my Photoshop, take my text tool, Ctrl V to paste. Alright, and then let me minimize this. Okay, let me increase the leading. Go to my character panel, take this to about 100. Alright, so I'm sure you're having value from this video. If you are, please give this video a like, share this video, and of course leave your comments in the comment section. If there's any part of this tutorial that's not clear, of course I will always be available to answer your questions in the comment section. Alright, so next up, we're going to add a caution right here that says 18 only. So I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, and then I hold your shift key and just draw a bit of a rounded rectangle, or let me just do an ellipse instead. Let me do an ellipse. So let me drop this, let me get rid of this, let me use an ellipse instead. So I go once again to the rectangle, to my shape, to take an ellipse, hold your shift key, click and drag, hold your shift key and drag it, and then I change this to a red. I want a red. Okay, okay, change this to red, then click OK. So I'm going to add a sign, a warning sign for 18 years only. So that's why I want to use a red ellipse for that. Okay, so I take my text tool, and then I type the word 18 only, 18 plus. Okay, click this, and then I'm going to drag it into the ellipse like so, and then I minimize it. Okay, let me give this go to my blending options, let me give it a drop shadow. Alright, I think that's fine. Then I'm going to bring in this image of the wine. So I'm going to right click and say open in Photoshop. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to get rid of the white background. Now to do that, I go to my eraser tool right here. Okay, my eraser tool, take your magic eraser, and then you click on the image to get rid of the background. Okay, if you are using Photoshop 2020 and above, you can also remove the background by coming to your properties panel right here, and then you go to quick actions, and then you use remove background. So that's a pro tip if you're using Photoshop 2020. So I'm going to click this and drag it into my work area like so, and I'm going to convert it to a smart object. Alright, and then I'm going to resize this. Okay, something like this, and then I'm going to duplicate this layer. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this image by pressing letter Ctrl J on my keyboard. Alright, and then I press Ctrl T to transform it. Then I right click and I select flip vertically. Alright, so then I'm going to drag it all the way down. Something like so. Alright, something like so. Just take it up a bit. and then I'm going to reduce the opacity just to give it that little bit of perspective effect, okay, to give it a bit of that reflecting effect. All right, okay, so I think that's cool. All right, so I'm going to add the text drink responsibly, but let me just, before then, let me adjust it a bit on the side. Okay, so you see this cool reflection effect. Okay, so that's how you create a reflection effect in Photoshop. Okay, so if you wish to do that, ensure you are using a dark background, because this effect won't reflect if you're using, you know, if this bottle was on a lighter background. All right, so ensure before you create a reflection effect, the background most times has to be dark so that the reflection will be very, very visible. So next up, I'm going to add the text drink responsibly. So I go to my text tool and type the word drink responsibly, and then I resize this. Okay, so next up, I'm going to Ctrl T to transform. Then I right click and select rotate. I think flip, is it flip vertically? No, not that. I think rotate clockwise or 180. No. Okay, let's see, counterclockwise. Yes, that's it, counterclockwise. So I'm going to bring this right like so. I'm going to use, let me increase the leading. Go to your character panel and increase the leading to 200. Let me change the fonts to Montserrat regular, I think. Yes, that's fine. And then I can just resize it. Okay, let me resize it like so. Let me increase the leading further to 200. Okay, so let me resize it a bit. Okay, so that's cool. Let me take it a bit to the side. Okay, something like this. I'll reduce it further. Alright, I think this is cool. Alright, so that's it. So this is how you design a beautiful party flyer in Photoshop. So if there's any part of this tutorial that's not clear, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section, and of course I will attend to every question and every comment. Alright, so thanks for watching, and give this video a like, share this video, and also subscribe to my channel, and of course don't fail to turn on the notification bell so you'll be informed whenever I create awesome videos just like this. So till I see you in my next video, it's bye for now.